Part 3. The Guide of How to Be an Interstellar Tycoon. Author, Yaoi. Chapter 21. 1. Subscribe to more than 1,000 copper plates, and an olive branch will be sent on the 11th, 21st, and the last day of the month at the end of each month. 2. Gift bananas and above, or reward 1,000 copper plates, and you will immediately send an invincible olive branch. The reward or gift value is a multiple of 1,000, and a few olive branches will be sent for several times. PPS, if you have subscribed or rewarded before, please check if you have an olive branch. It is valid for the current month, and it will be invalid if it is overdue. Chapter 24 Chun Volume. He scooped up a bowl of wheat, directly beat it into flour with a grinder, put it in a bowl, added a little salt, added cold water and stirred it into a flock, then kneaded it into a smooth, non-stick dough by hand, and set it aside for later use. Later, carrots, lettuce, Chinese cabbage, green vegetables and a piece of pork were selected from the ingredients. Cut the pork into shreds, add soy sauce, salt, pepper and other condiments to season and marinate, and cut carrots, lettuce, Chinese cabbage and green vegetables into shreds. Gubai's knife skills are very good, and he heard his position rhythmically ringing in the dun 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 in the entire arena, and even attracted the attention of many players. The live broadcast camera was also quietly facing him at this time. Ha ha ha, this newcomer is in the GAN, just listening to the sound can't be cut off, this knife craftsman is too blind, right? Who is this person? I don't know each other. Few of the contestants who participated this year know each other. Many gods didn't come to participate. It's a pity that I finally started the live broadcast. I wanted to observe the gods up close, but the organizers were too ineffective. Haha, if I, Ling Shen, came to the competition this year, wouldn't it be hanging and beating up these people? Ling Shen said that he should give more opportunities to newcomers. Ling Shen is too generous to give newcomers a chance, they also have to have potential and talent. Look at what the newcomers have done this year, I won't eat it for free. A lot of viewers have poured into the live broadcast room. After all, the popularity of the food competition is still very high. In previous years, it was broadcast live during the finals. This year, it suddenly became a live broadcast of the whole process. Everyone was very curious and came to watch it. This is exactly what the organizers hope. As for the speech on the barrage, I will ignore it for the time being. Only when there is discussion will there be heat, and when there is heat, more audiences will be attracted to watch. As for Gubai, he didn't even know that most of the discussions in the live broadcast room were about him. After the sound of dun dun ended, Gubai pressed the carrot with his hand, and the carrot that originally looked intact turned into a flat shape. Then he continued to shred dun dun while watching the live broadcast. The audience who was laughing at him fell silent for a moment. I'll go, this man is a bit of a knifeman. Ha ha ha, I'm dying of laughter just now. Where are those people who said that people only know how to listen to performances and never stop listening, so they asked you if you were slapped in the face? I wonder what this person is doing. I just saw that he kneaded flour into a smooth dough by adding water. It's amazing. Can flour still do this? Why do I only get a sticky batter every time I add water? Upstairs you are not alone. So people are chefs, and you are ordinary people. The barrage regained its harmony, but there was a lot more sight on Gubai. After preparing all the ingredients, Gubai took out the awakened dough, kneaded it again, cut it into 3 portions, rolled each portion into long strips, and cut them into small doses. At this time, Gubai realized that the organizer had not prepared a rolling pin. He rummaged up and down, and finally found a substitute in the corner, a long, slender stick, which he didn't know what it was for. Gubai cleaned and dried the thin stick, and then started rolling out the dumpling skin. A thin stick is not as easy to use as a rolling pin, but under Gubai's hands, it does not affect his movements in the slightest. The small doses quickly turned into sheets of very thin and round dumpling skins. This move attracted the attention of many viewers, and the barrage in the live broadcast room quickly flashed again. "It's amazing, how did you do this? Just roll it a few times, and the dough turns into a thin sheet? It's amazing, I'd like to call it magic. I have seen it in the Rain God's live broadcast room. The Rain God also made dough when he made buns before, but the Rain God was not made with such thin sticks. Is this imitating my Rain God? My Rain God steamed buns can't be made by anyone. How many people imitate them will end up being like tigers, but it's better for newcomers to be down to earth. The dough made by Rain God is not so thin. When it is so thin, it will not be exposed when it is filled with fillings. Trouble the fans above to go back to their home to have a good time. This is the live broadcast room of the food competition, not the live broadcast room of your Rain God. What are you talking about here? Although I don't know what this person is doing, it doesn't feel like he's making buns, and the fillings prepared are different from Tingyu. Gubai made a total of 20 pieces of noodles, and then fry a portion of the previously prepared vegetarian dishes, and fry the marinated shredded pork until it turns white. Lay the dough flat, place shredded pork, shredded carrots, shredded cabbage, shredded lettuce, and shredded green cabbage on the dough in turn, then roll up from one end. The 10 sheets on the left contain fried shredded vegetables and shredded pork, and the 10 sheets on the right contain fried shredded pork and raw shredded vegetables. The Guide of How to Be an Interstellar Tycoon. Author, Juwei Yaohu. Chapter 22. After wrapping it all up, Gubai put the 10 sheets on the right into the steamer, and the other 10 sheets were all fried. The deep-fried coke aroma and the light aroma of steaming gradually came out, and the fans watching the live broadcast room could clearly smell it. It's so fragrant, although I don't know what he made, it looks delicious. Want to eat? Unfortunately, they are made in the second world, and we can't taste it at all. When can we make it in reality once, so that we can buy it and try it? Other people are also very good at cooking, although many of them are newcomers who don't know each other this year. There are also many who are good at cooking. I am looking forward to the next competition. I just want to know when I can try it out. I want to eat it. The competition time passed little by little, and most of the contestants' dishes were ready. As long as they were ready, they could press the button in front of them, and then they could give the judges a priority to taste their own dishes. What Gubai did was not complicated. During the frying process, he took time to look at the dishes of the other contestants, most of which were green. After all, the theme this time is Chun Days, and it is not wrong to use green dishes to be conservative, so most of the players have chosen a conservative approach, which leads to the current cookie cutter. The judges invited for this food competition are all well known in the industry, including sharp food critics, well-known chefs, and members of the Chef Association. But after tasting dozens of dishes of the same type in a row, it was inevitable that I felt fatigued, and the scores were getting lower and lower. The other contestants who watched were panicked. "Contestant 048, please come forward," the host shouted. Gubai divided all the dishes into 5 portions, each of which was filled with 2 steamed and 2 fried, and then brought a small plate of dipping sauce and brought it to the 5 judges, then took a few steps back and waited for the judges. Result. When the judges, who were originally in high spirits, saw that the dishes were finally no longer lusciously green, they immediately raised their spirits. However, this dish made by Gubai is actually not outstanding from the outside. The steamed dish has the whiteness of the dough, and the fried dish is charred. The two are harmonious together, but they are not amazing. To the point of. "What is the name of this dish you made?" Joe Sego asked indifferently. He is a well-known food critic in the Huaxia Empire. He is known for his vicious tongue. Almost all the restaurants he has been to have been criticized as useless. However, what he said is reasonable, so that if these restaurants want to hack him, he will not be able to start. It is precisely because of his fair comments that he has accumulated a large number of fans. Any restaurant that can be rated as not bad by him will basically be full of business every day and become famous quickly. It's a pity that so far he can count the restaurants or dishes that he has rated as good, and he can count them on one hand. Countless restaurants or chefs want to pay him to say something nice, but he has rejected them. He also criticized the dishes made by the contestants in front of him without any room for criticism, and the contestant who almost said that he quit the competition on the spot. The Chun volume Gubai replied, his attitude was neither humble nor arrogant, nor did he appear nervous. Chun roll. The name is quite interesting, I'll try it first. Another judge Si Xiao, the only woman among the 5 judges, said with a smile, picked up a steamed chun roll, bit it lightly, and her eyes were faint open, with a hint of surprise on his face. He quickly chewed a few times, and took another bite. The marinated shredded pork is moderately salty, the lettuce and carrot shreds are slightly crisp, and the shredded cabbage and green cabbage leaves are soft and have the unique fragrance of green vegetables. The 3 together have a rich taste and rich flavor. The firm dough neutralizes the filling and makes the taste better. Not only is the taste so rich, but it is even visually pleasing. The shredded meat is slightly white, the carrot is orange-red, the lettuce is light green, the cabbage is white with green, and the green cabbage is darker green. Different ingredients have different colors. Wrapped in white dough, isn't it the color of the resurrection of all things in the Chun heaven? No wonder it's called Chun rolls. It rolls up the entire Chun sky. It really lives up to its name. Si Xiao excitedly ate 2 steamed chun rolls in a row. When the other judges saw this, they could not help but pick up the chun rolls in their Fluttershy. They had different feelings, but the surprise was the same. Although the appearance is relatively ordinary, but there are gan-kun inside, the steamed chun roll fully reflects the original taste of various ingredients. Just like the feeling of early chun, the fried chun roll makes the taste more intense. With edible, the rich coke fragrance of the oil itself adds a new color to the chun day, and prepares for the summer. Good, very good. The judges used 2 good ones in a row, which shows that they are very satisfied with the chun roll. Even Jo Sego, who was the most difficult to deal with, had his mouth raised slightly after he had eaten it all, and gave his own comment, not bad. I'm going. Jo Dutong actually gave a not bad evaluation. This evaluation is too high, right? Although this chun roll looks really delicious, it doesn't smell that fragrant. It's not as good as the steamed fish of No 056. Looking at the way the judges eat so quickly, it must be delicious. I want to eat, I want to eat, I want to eat. It is said that there may be a live broadcast in the later stage of the competition. If it is true, then we can try it out and look forward to it. Chapter 25 Budding. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Guide of How to Be an Interstellar Tycoon. Author, Juwei Yaohu. Chapter 23. What's this for? After the judges finished eating the chun rolls, they turned their attention to the dipping sauce plate next to them. The corner of Gubai's mouth twitched slightly. The judges ate too quickly just now, and he didn't have time to remind him, but the other party had already finished eating. This can be eaten with steamed chun rolls, and the taste will be richer, Gubai said truthfully. 5 judges. Cough cough, since everyone has finished commenting, let's rate it. The host quickly appeared to ease the slightly awkward atmosphere at the moment, but the live broadcast room was already full of laughter. Ha ha ha, I laughed so hard. This is the first time I see such expressions on the faces of the judges. It is a worthwhile trip, it is really worthwhile. Ha 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 ha, Xiaobai is really good. Let the judges gluttony, let the organizer only let us watch and not eat. The retribution is coming. The retribution came too fast like a tornado, ha ha ha, but this also proves that Xiaobai's cooking is really delicious, so delicious that the judges can't wait for the contestants to explain them all before eating them up. Maybe Xiaobai will be this year of a black horse. Haha, this is the first game, okay, many players haven't tried their best yet. That is, who is Bai Xiaobai? I have never heard of it. There were constant quarrels on the barrage in the live broadcast room, and the scores of the game came out. Gubai finally scored 9.0 points, which is currently the first in the game and the only one who has scored 9 points. Xiaobai, that's great. Fang Weichuan quietly gave Gubai a thumbs up when he came down. Fang Weichuan's review had ended before him, and he got a high score of 8.8, which was also the first place before Gubai went up, but now it has become the second place. But even if he was pushed down by Gubai, Fang Weichuan was not at all annoyed. On the contrary, he was genuinely happy for him, and Gubai felt quite warm in his heart. Since there were 100 contestants in the first game, it took a lot of time to complete all the comments. The 20 contestants with the lowest scores were eliminated, and the rest entered the second round smoothly. The contest time is 1 week later. After the first game of the food competition, there were a lot of related topics on Xing Wang, especially about Gubai. There were also a lot of them, but the popularity was not very high, but they also accumulated a small number of fans, especially Lan Lan. As soon as the old customers of the Star Food Store contacted these new fans, the Blue Star Food Store exploded again, and there were more people waiting in line outside. It's just that Gubai, who has already been offline, doesn't know because the seeds he planted have sprouted. God bless the old lady and the young lady, all the seeds planted by the young master have sprouted. Butler Gu looked at the lush green land and was very excited. Since the Gu family moved to the Central Star and the place was abandoned, he has not seen such a large new sprout for a long, long time. The last time may have been 100 years ago. He didn't have much hope for this germination, but he didn't expect that most of them would germinate. The young master is really amazing. You must know that their marginal planet is not only far away, its natural conditions are not good enough, and its natural resources are not enough, so it has always been one of the poorest planets in the empire. If this farm can really develop smoothly, then the young master will be able to live a more comfortable life in the future, with no worries about food and clothing. Chapter 26 The buds are gone. Looking at the green patch in front of him, the first thing that popped into Gubai's mind was the dishes prepared by the players in the first match, which was enough to show how deeply impressed he was by this match. He felt that he didn't want to eat too many green vegetables. But the crops that were planted all sprouted, which was a great thing for him. Last time, in order to improve the survival rate of the seeds, he poured abilities into the seeds, exhausting the only bit of ability he had. Now the consumed abilities have been replenished, even a little more than before. This is the cultivation method of supernatural powers, constantly depleting superpowers, then replenishing them, depleting them, replenishing them again, and starting over and over again. The supernatural powers cultivated can be more solid and stable, but the speed will be slower, but it is better to play steadily. Of course, there is also a faster way to cultivate, which is to cultivate by absorbing the energy in the zombie crystal core, but now that he has come to this world, there is no crystal core for him to absorb, so he can only cultivate slowly through the first method. Fortunately, this world is very safe, he doesn't have to face danger to his life all the time, and he has enough time to cultivate. After watering the newly restored ability to the sprouts again, Gubai didn't care about these sprouts. When his ability was restored again, he would water again until all the sprouts bloomed. On the other hand, Butler Gu, who came to the field to see it many times every day, wished he could just sleep here and watch these sprouts all the time. Gubai tried to persuade him a few times, but Steward Gu was still worried, and finally let him go. Facts show that Butler Gu's worries are right. The day before the second game of the food competition, Steward Gu came to the field as usual to see the sprouts that had grown much taller, to see if they needed watering or weeding. Even if he did nothing, just watch him can be happy all day. However, when he walked into the field, a bare field came into view. Butler Gu rubbed his eyes, thinking that he might have gone wrong. After all, his farm is quite large, and there are many similar lands. Inevitably, The Guide of How to Be an Interstellar Tycoon. Author, Yaoi. Chapter 24. Butler Gu walked to the side again, until out of breath he walked around the whole farm, but he didn't see those lovely green sprouts. At this moment, Butler Gu started to panic. Looking at the bare land in front of him, his whole body began to tremble with anger. This must be someone with bad intentions who pulled out all the sprouts. You must know that even these newly sprouted sprouts can be sold for a lot of money outside. It's abominable, these are all cultivated by the young master, who is so immoral. Butler Gu's tears were about to come out, and he was very distressed. He should have known it earlier. If you buy a hospital care robot, even if you smash the pot and sell iron to raise money, you should buy one, so that these sprouts will not be pulled out. Gu Bai came out from the second world to find Butler Gu, and what he saw was the scene of Butler Gu sitting on the ground angrily and crying. He frowned and hurried over. "Grandpa Gu, what's the matter with you?" He looked around and found no suspicious people, but if he knew who had bullied Grandpa Gu, he would definitely not spare him. Grandpa Gu was the first person he came to this world to treat him very well. Even if the other party's original intention was to treat the original owner, the benefits were really accepted by him. He had regarded Grandpa Gu as the only relative in this world. He has always been a protector of shortcoming. If people don't offend me, I won't offend others. If anyone offends me, they will be destroyed. Destroying people is against the law now, and it cannot be done, but he will never make that person feel better. Little young master, the sprouts are gone after all. Grandpa Gu couldn't hold back his tears, and his heart was aching. Fortunately, Butler Gu is usually in good physical condition, otherwise he would have to go to the hospital if he was designated to be angry. Knowing that Steward Gu was not being bullied, Gu Bai breathed a sigh of relief, and only then did he notice the abnormality in the ground. He knew more about plants than Butler Gu. Although the land was indeed bare and there were not a single sprout left, it didn't look like it was pulled out by someone, but more like it was dragged into the ground by something. Only small pits remain. Chapter 27. Mutant Fujimiki. Gu Bai narrowed his eyes slightly and stared at a certain part of the land. The soil there looked the same as the surrounding, but if you looked closely, you would find that there was faintly rising and falling, as if something was moving. Sleeping inside. Gu Bai took out the shovel from nowhere, and walked over lightly, preparing to shovel out the culprit, but before he could do it, the fluctuations were even bigger, as if he was about to break out of the ground. "Be careful, young master." Grandpa Gu also noticed this abnormality, and without being sad, he hurried forward and pulled Gu Bai behind him, trying to protect him. As a young man, Gu Bai naturally wouldn't let an old man take risks for him. He pulled Grandpa Gu behind him. He stared at the land on guard, and if anything happened, he would shoot it with a shovel. The ground was ups and downs, and the soil was shaking all over the top, like a bird that was about to break out of the shell and kept scratching the eggshell, trying hard to break free, and this thing was the same. Finally, the clods covered on it fell, and the thing was about to burst out of the ground. Gu Bai's alert was also raised to the highest level. The moment the other party was unearthed, he shoveled up and slapped the other party back into the soil. It's just the glance at that moment, it seems a little familiar. The sound sounded from the ground, a little familiar. Then a smear of green sprang out of the soil with lightning speed, going straight to Gu Bai, and wrapped tightly around him. Butler Gu was shocked when he saw this, and hurriedly reached out his hand to tear off the thing that was entangled in his young master. Don't look at the housekeeper Gu, who looks a little old, but at the moment he is still very strong. He grabs the thing tightly and pulls it out, the voice of is more urgent and louder. "Grandpa Gu, wait." Gu Bai hurriedly stopped, looking at the familiar green vines wrapped around him. He tentatively called out, "Moo moo." The vine seemed to understand, it was alive, and the entanglement was tighter, and the top end was rubbing against Gubai's cheek intimately, showing his dependence. Gubai couldn't believe what he saw, and the ecstasy instantly drowned him. Mumu, why are you here? Gubai gently stroked the vines, and the smile on his face made Steward Gu stunned. It was the first time he saw the young master smile so happily. Gubai really didn't expect to see Mumu in this world, a partner who had fought side by side with him for many years in the last days. Mumu erected the rattan and waved it in the air for a while, as if accusing Gubai of leaving alone, so Gubai coaxed him for a while before he calmed down. Butler Gu, by his side, went from initial worry, to shock, to sluggishness, to surprise, and completed a whole set of emoji process alone. Little master, is this yours? Butler Gu's voice trembled with surprise. Associate Xiao. Gubai had heard of the word accompany Xiao, it was in the original owner's memory, and he also understood a little. There are some extremely talented people in this world, such as those with great physique, great spiritual power, or both. When they are born, a creature will be born out of thin air at the same time. This is the so-called companion. The Guide of How to Be an Interstellar Tycoon. Author, Yaoi. Chapter 25. Some companions are animals and some are plants, which can communicate with the master's mind, and to a certain extent, the master's spiritual power can also be attached to the companion's body, and the companion can feel the same. When the original owner was born, he didn't have a companion, because he was not very good in terms of physique or spiritual power, even lower than ordinary people, but these stewards didn't know. Mumu suddenly appeared in this world. If there is no good reason, it is likely to be taken away for research, as his companion Xiao seems to be a very good reason. Well, it's called Mumu. There was an accident before and it has been recuperating in the soil, Gubai explained. Anyway, no one on this planet knew the original owner. Even Butler Gu, he had relatively little contact with the original owner before, so his lies should not be exposed. I didn't expect the young master to have a companion. The young master is really powerful, Butler Gu praised with satisfaction and excitement. The young master has a very high talent in cooking. I didn't expect that his spiritual power is also good, and he can also produce accompanying Xiao, which is still a relatively rare plant type. As expected, God can't bear their Gu family to disappear like this. Chapter 28. Destined to be eliminated. Little young master, this sprout. Although Steward Gu was very happy that Gubai had a companion, he was still angry at the destruction of the sprout. Joyful and angry, two completely different emotions made Butler Gu's expression out of control, and it was very interesting to look at. These sprouts should have been absorbed by Mumu. Gubai understood everything the moment he saw Mumu come out. Although he doesn't know how Mumu came to this world or when he came, he should be the same as him, coming to this world with his abilities reduced to a minimum. Mumu is a mutant vine, and the usual way to increase its strength is to absorb other mutant plants. Although these sprouts in the ground are not mutant plants, they are different from ordinary plants because they are filled with abilities. Can also replenish energy. This. Butler Gu looked at the vine that was still clinging to his young master, and thought to himself that if its food were all sprouts in the future, then they really couldn't afford it. Grandpa Gu, don't worry, Mumu is still a little weak now. After absorbing the power of the sprouts, its body will recover quickly, and it will not absorb the sprouts again in the future. On the contrary, it can also help the sprouts grow rapidly. Gubai saw the concerns in Butler Gu's heart and explained. Mumu's role in the apocalypse is not only to fight with him to fight zombies, but more often to help him grow together. Mumu can absorb the energy of mutant plants, and can also release energy to ordinary plants to help them grow rapidly. This function is actually a bit similar to his wood-type ability. Therefore, Mumu is his little helper for planting. In this way, he will have an excellent excuse to use the ability to accelerate the growth of crops in the future. Really? Is Mumu that powerful? Butler Gu was really surprised when he heard the words, his eyes looking at the mutant vines were full of fiery. Mumu erected the rattan, straight up, like a proud child with a small chest, very proud. Butler Gu was amused by Mumu's performance, and the anger and sadness of losing the sprout also eased a lot. With the young master's companion, there will be more sprouts in the future. Because the first batch of sprouts were all absorbed by Mumu, Gubai had to use the spare funds to buy some more seeds. I'm going to participate in the competition tomorrow, so I'll trouble Grandpa Gu and Mumu to sow. Gubai handed the seeds to Grandpa Gu and said. With Mumu around, he doesn't have to worry too much about the survival rate of the seeds. On the second day, the second game of the food competition was still held in the food building. This time there were only 80 contestants, and 20 positions became vacant. Those who were eliminated in the previous game. Gubai stood at his 048 position, waiting for the start of the second game. This time, no ingredients were provided in front of each contestant, and the ingredients were concentrated on the shelves at the front of the competition. It seemed that the contestants needed to choose the ingredients by themselves. There are fish, meat, eggs, and all kinds of vegetables on the ingredients shelf, but I don't know what the theme this time is. The contestants arrived one after another, and then the judges and the host took their seats. The live broadcast equipment was officially launched, and the audience who had already been waiting in the live broadcast room flocked. The first to grab the sofa. After waiting for a week, I finally waited until the competition started. Happy JPG. Ziobai, you are the best, come on. Ziobai's chun rolls are delicious, but I didn't expect green vegetables and meat to be eaten like this. It's really insightful. The same audience of the competition, why are you so beautiful upstairs? If I can eat chun rolls, I can only watch it. Haha, guide the way to the Blue Star restaurant. This is Ziobai's shop in the second world. The dishes he cooks in the competition will be sold in the shop afterward, but the quantity is limited, so it is up to you to eat it or not. Speed. Haha, this is the first game of the competition, so I can't wait to advertise. How can this newcomer be so impatient? Aren't you stupid? Upstairs, it's hard to grab people with too many dishes and few dishes, but you still dare to pull people, and do you still want to eat them in the future? This barrage and the barrage mocking Gubai's advertisement were sent out almost at the same time, and they were lined up brightly. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Guide of How to Be an Interstellar Tycoon. Author, Juwei Yaohu. Chapter 26. I didn't say anything just now, I just came here to cheer Ziobai. Come on Ziobai, sister will always support you. This year's food competition is not good, all the newcomers participated. It is better to watch the live broadcast of Rain God to watch this competition. That is, these newcomers don't know what they are doing, and they have no appetite when they look at them. It's still the Rain God who made them look good and delicious, especially since he made them in reality. We can try them all. Gan is watching it much better. Sisters, withdraw and withdraw. Rain God has started the live broadcast, and watch the live broadcast. Go away. A lot of Rain God fans suddenly appeared on the barrage, and a wave of advertisements was launched, which took away many viewers. The organizer of the food competition has been paying attention to the situation in the live broadcast room, and it is natural to see this very clearly. In fact, the reason why I chose the form of live broadcast this year is that the above is indeed given the task of promoting food. Secondly, this year's competition is basically newcomers, and there is no fan base. If you don't take advantage of the front to accumulate a wave of fans, wait until later. By the time of the finals, the number of viewers may break a record low. It's not that they didn't want to find some people with high popularity and good cooking skills to participate in the competition to drive their popularity, but firstly, the food competition selects talents with good cooking skills based on the principle of voluntariness and fairness, and secondly, the invitations they send out may go to waste, or be politely rejected. So they temporarily changed the selection mode. Perhaps in the past, the food competition was an authoritative competition, and many contestants became famous through the food competition, but in recent years, the trend of food culture revival has been surging, and various types of food-related programs have emerged one after another, bringing out many stars in the food industry have also made the quality of the contestants in the food competition worse year by year, and their attention has gradually decreased. At this rate, it is hard to say whether the food competition can continue to be held. Therefore, the organizers hope to attract a group of food fans through the live broadcast mode to create momentum for the show. But so far, the effect does not seem to be good. Boss, I just said that our competition mode can actually be changed, and no one has stipulated that the food competition must be held indoors, right? Su Yang, the person in charge of the planning department, came over, sat next to the director, and watched the live broadcast together. Although our tomato station is the official organizer of the food competition in the second world, if it cannot attract popularity, it will be replaced. I heard that Apple Station is actively contacting Xhinao, and I want to get it. The right to host the food competition, the times are different now, and traffic is king. Their tomato channel is the leader of the TV station, but in recent years, the Apple channel has been developing very rapidly, and they have been chasing after them. The food contest is an official competition. It is jointly supported by the Second World Intellectual Brain and the Royal Family of the First World. Its influence far exceeds other programs. If Tomato Station really loses the right to host the food contest, it must be a huge blow. If the right to host the food competition falls into the hands of Apple Taiwan, it will be just around the corner for Apple Terrace to surpass Tomato Terrace as a new leader. The general manager and director Luo Qigong stared at the live broadcast room silently, not knowing what he was thinking. The second game officially started. The host announced the rules of the game on it. Sure enough, as Gu Bai thought, this round is no longer the organizer to provide each player with ingredients, but they choose by themselves. Or grab food. The quantity of each ingredient is limited. If the speed is slow and the ingredients you want are taken away by others, then you can only cook with the remaining ingredients, so speed and response are also very important, but in order to avoid malicious competition, all the ingredients that the contestants get need to be used, and the remaining ingredients after cooking the dishes should not exceed 200 grams, otherwise they will be severely punished, so I hope everyone can take as much as they use. The theme of this game is, meat and vegetables shuangpan, give everyone 10 seconds to think, start choosing ingredients after 10 seconds, count down 10, 9. The host began to count down. While observing the types of ingredients in the ingredients area, Gu Bai quickly drew up the dishes he wanted to make in his mind, and after the countdown was over, he rushed to grab the ingredients he wanted. He is still very confident in his speed and physical strength. After all, the end of the decade is not in vain. If the speed is a little slower, he has already fed zombies, and there is no chance to come to this world. However, he forgot a very important fact. When Gu Bai stood in front of the few ingredients racks left, his face was dumbfounded, and he couldn't understand what happened for a long time. His blank expression instantly pleased the people watching in the live broadcast room. Ha ha ha, I really laughed at me, this Bai Xiaobai's expression is too funny. I just saw Xiaobai's face that he was going to win, and he was eager to move. He thought he was a king, but he turned out to be a scumbag when he acted, ha ha ha, it's so funny. Xiaobai is so pitiful, his expression is dazed and confused, as if he was abandoned, but I still can't help but want to laugh. What should I do? I'm sorry, Xiaobai, ha 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 ha. My mother just asked me why I couldn't get up from lying on the ground. I really didn't have the strength to laugh. The Guide of How to Be an Interstellar Tycoon. Author, Zhuwei Yaohu. Chapter 27. At the speed of Xiaobai, There is nothing left on the food rack. What should I do when the competition is coming? A little worried. Gubai didn't know the reaction of the audience in the live broadcast room, but he didn't realize until this moment that this body was not the one he had trained before that could beat zombies and run with the fighting strength of zombies. The original owner he occupied is a body of Jing's supernatural power and physique, and he has not undergone any systematic training since childhood. He is simply a -5 scum that even ordinary people can't beat. Alas, mistakes. Gubai couldn't help but sigh in his heart, but what can he do? It is better to lose 5 scumbags than to die, and he is still lucky. Gubai packed up his emotions, ready to see what was left on the ingredients rack, and redraw the competition menu. 1 cabbage, 2 skeletons, and a pile of gizzards and livers are gone. Anyone who sees the remaining ingredients can't help but start to sympathize with Gubai. After all, other than cabbage, nothing else can be used, and this time the theme is the combination of meat and vegetables. How can only 1 cabbage make meat dishes? In this match, this man named Yaoi was destined to be eliminated. Chapter 29 Black Fans Scream. The players who participated in the competition on the spot thought so, the fans watching the live broadcast also thought the same, and Gubai's fans were even more distressed, constantly condemning those players who deliberately took a lot of ingredients, anxiously wishing they could not drill enter the live broadcast screen to deliver ingredients to Gubai. However, the parties at the scene were very calm and took all the remaining ingredients back to their places. Xiaobai, this piece of meat is for you. I have a lot of meat, and I can't use it up, Fang Weichuan whispered when Gubai passed by him, and was going to stuff him the pork he got. Gubai shook his head and said with a smile, "It's okay, I have a solution." But Fang Weichuan was about to say something when the host found out, "Please don't talk to each other, and it is strictly forbidden to change ingredients in private." "Don't worry," Gubai reassured and quickly returned to his position. There are other players who are sympathetic, some are gloating, and some who are waiting to watch the show. They have different performances, but Gubai doesn't take it seriously. Although he did not get many ingredients, the amount of accessories and condiments prepared by the organizer was not limited. Gubai rinsed the 2 racks, and there was still some meat on them. He picked them out, put the remaining bones in a stew pot, and boiled them with water and ginger slices. Many condiments in this world are not complete, and Gubai can't completely follow the ancient Earth's practice. He can only adjust it according to the actual situation while doing it. Take the middle part of the cabbage, lightly pan it, remove the tendons, trim the shape uniformly, wash it for later use, and then start to treat the liver. In the interstellar era, the internal organs of all kinds of animals were directly thrown away. Few people would choose to use this part of the food for cooking. The presence of gizzards and livers on the food rack was actually beyond Gubai's expectations. But it is precisely because of this that he was given a chance. Otherwise, if there is really no meat left, no matter how powerful he is, it is difficult for a clever woman to cook without rice, and he is destined to be eliminated. However, the G gizzards and G livers on the ingredient rack were untreated. Gubai naturally and skillfully cleaned them and put them aside for later use. Most of the fans watching in the live broadcast room are staring at Gubai, wanting to see if he can reverse this disadvantage or lie flat and be eliminated when the ingredients are lacking. No matter what era it is, the counterattack is the plot that people like to watch the most. What is he doing? Those 2 things look disgusting, can they really be made into dishes? Yaoi got the internal organs, right, those things were thrown away directly and couldn't be eaten. He must have gone to the doctor in a hurry. Even if there is a lack of ingredients, even if you don't want to be eliminated, you can't bet on the judge's life safety. What if this thing eats a dead person? The people upstairs think too much, this is in the second world, and they can't really eat them, they won't eat dead people. Even if you don't eat dead people, can that thing taste good? It's too bad a character to do anything to win the game. You haven't eaten it, so how do you know it's not delicious? Xiaobai's cooking skills are quite good, maybe after his hands, it will be very delicious. Hee, brain damaged fans, please retire, if this thing is really delicious, I will live upside down to eat. What kind of punishment is eating upside down? If you have the ability, you live upside down and eat shit. Live upside down and eat shit. I don't believe that Bai Xiaobai can make anything delicious. If these two things can't be eaten, Bai Xiaobai will get out of the food world for me. Is it necessary to play such a big game, brother? There was a lot of noise in the live broadcast room, but not only the audience were paying attention to Gu Bai, but even the director and planner of the program group kept staring at Gu Bai. They usually ask the staff to throw them away. Although they don't know why they finally appeared on the ingredients shelf, they are looking forward to Gu Bai's next dishes. Chapter 30 Stir-Fry Mixtures. They usually ask the staff to throw them away. Although they don't know why they finally appeared on the ingredients shelf, they are looking forward to Gu Bai's next dishes. The Guide of How to Be an Interstellar Tycoon. Author, Yaoi. Chapter 28. In the last game, the Chun volume produced by Gu Bai left a deep impression on them, and he scored full marks in the first two games of the audition, and the third game was also the first place, which also made the director team treat him a little more. Points of attention. Gu Bai was doing the preparation work in an orderly manner, hit the gizzard with a flour knife, cut the liver into the size of gizzard, then poured oil, heated the wok, then added chili, onion, ginger, and garlic and other accessories to stir-fry until fragrant, and then added the gizzard and the liver, continue to stir-fry over high heat. Because it was a big stir-fry, the aroma quickly spread out, the spiciness of the chili peppers pierced the nose, and then the special aroma of onion, ginger, and garlic came, making the surrounding players sneeze and want to smell more. And the audience in the live broadcast room has been stimulated by various reactions. What kind of taste, so spicy and choking, my nose and tears came out of sneezing. The taste is so fragrant, the taste is stronger than the last chun roll, it smells so good, I want to eat it, I want to eat it like crazy. When will the organizer be able to live broadcast in reality? I want to try it. True or false? You dare to eat the internal organs, you are all real warriors, even if this smells good, but those things are definitely uneatable, that is, just pretending. Ah, I can't stop sneezing at all, I almost doubt my life when I sneeze, my mom and dad thought I had some strange disease, and now they keep pulling me to the hospital, crying Bao Win JPG. One thing to say, this taste is really fragrant, and the one made by Bai Xiaobai also looks pretty good. If I try it on the hologram, I think I can give it a try. Haha, Xiaobai finally made chili again. I said that the power of chili must be very powerful. Finally, someone tasted the feeling of my first visit to Xiaobai's shop. They were choked and uncomfortable, but they didn't want to leave at all. I was attracted by Xiaobai's choking scent at the beginning, and I haven't been able to leave since then. When Xiaobai can make a piece of boiled meat, it is guaranteed to stun the judges. Gu Bai's movements were never in a hurry, coupled with his calm expression, it was unexpectedly conspicuous in the arena and became a different landscape. Since the ingredients he got can't be cheap, Gu Bai trimmed the remaining cabbage aside from the heart of the cabbage and put it on a plate as a decoration for the plate. In it, the green vegetable leaves, the white vegetable gang and the heavy-colored gizzards and livers are compared with each other and take care of each other, and they look pretty good. Gu Bai put it in the safe next to it. Interstellar safe is very magical. What kind of food you just put in, and what will it look like when you take it out? It's simply a preservation artifact. The broth made by the rack was still simmering next to him, so Gu Bai set up another pot, blanched the prepared cabbage hearts in hot water for a while, then put them in cold boiling water for a while, and then put them on the steamer, cover with plastic wrap and steam for 10 minutes. During the process of steaming the cabbage, Gu Bai chopped the meat he picked out earlier into minced meat with the back of a knife, then put it into the broth, and stirred in one direction, The originally cloudy broth gradually became clear. Originally, the meat puree made with ghee brisket was the best, but the ingredients were limited, so Gubai could only source nearby. The cabbage heart is steamed, put it on the plate, add the clear broth, it is enough to beat the cabbage, and a famous Sichuan dish, boiled cabbage, is completed. The broth is crystal clear, and you can clearly see every detail of the cabbage inside. The cabbage heart has just been placed in the shape of a flower, and it is like a flower blooming in the water at this moment. It's amazing, it's obviously all simple ingredients, but it looks so good when it's made. The meat and vegetables just now can't wait to pass through the screen, and now this vegetarian dish looks so good that people are eager to move. Ouch, Yaoi really didn't disappoint his mother. Should these two dishes be arranged as soon as possible? Tomorrow I will go to the line at 7 o'clock, bless me to grab it. I'm going to line up at 6 o'clock. I won't sleep today, I'm going to line up now. Are you all working so hard? Can you save some for the newcomers? Mensin is humble online. One meat and one vegetable were all completed. Gubai pressed the finish button, and the position was just right. Chapter 31 The Enjoyment of Taste. The judges finished commenting on the dishes made by the contestants in front one by one, and soon it was Gubai's turn. The eyes of the 5 judges immediately began to shine, and they stared at Gubai, the plate in his hand. This time, they were not divided into small portions, but a whole plate of stir-fry jellies and boiled cabbage. It is recommended that the judges try this stir-fry jaggery first, Gubai suggested intimately, and the judges who had their chopsticks stretched out to the boiled cabbage silently retracted their hands, but none of them tasted the jaggery. Although this is in the second world, there is no need to actually swallow the dishes, but just thinking that these things are internal organs, many people feel a little nauseated, even if the taste of this dish is really fragrant and tempting people. Gubai can also understand, he is not in a hurry, and quietly waits for the judges to prepare mentally. He has a hunch that as long as these judges take the first step, no one else will catch up. I'll try it. The judges never dared to be the first to taste. Instead, Xiao, the only woman among them, picked up the chopsticks and put a gizzard in her mouth. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Guide of How to Be an Interstellar Tycoon. Author, Yaoi. Chapter 29. The eyes of others immediately fell on Xiao's face, expecting her reaction. However, Xiao, who always loved to laugh, was expressionless at the moment, only the constant chewing movement indicated that she really ate. He moved his chopsticks and grabbed a piece of liver, and continued to chew without expression. Xiao, how does it taste? The other judges couldn't help but ask, still a little worried. Xiao didn't answer. Xiao, if you can't eat it, don't eat it. We can try that cabbage, some judges began to persuade. Although Xiao is the only woman among the 5 judges, she is a senior chef herself, and she is even more picky about food than they are. Although I usually seem to be very easy to get along with and very gentle, and when I comment, I will not let the contestants come off the stage, but I don't touch anything I don't like to eat. Therefore, Xiao, who is abnormal at the moment, everyone is a little worried, even Yaoi's fans in the live broadcast room are a little uncertain, and the black fans even take the opportunity to shout and ridicule. For those fans who called delicious food just now, I asked you if you were slapped in the face. None of the judges dared to eat it. I laughed to death since I paid attention to the food competition. It was the first time I saw a judge who was persuaded by a contestant to quit. Your cooking is also the only one. Haha, even the best-tempered Miss Xiao eats with a blank face, which shows how unpleasant it is to eat. However, Xiao still did not speak, but the frequency of moving his chopsticks became faster and faster, and the number of livers on the plate was rapidly decreasing. The other judges finally reacted and put down chopsticks one after another. At the moment when the gizzard or the liver entered the mouth, their bowels of regret immediately turned green. The gizzards are full of taste and toughness, and the livers are soft and easy to chew. They are obviously two kinds of ingredients with completely different tastes, but together they complement each other, make up for each other's shortcomings, and magnify each other's advantages. Xiao, you are too unkind. You want to eat such a delicious food by yourself, Josego condemned and quickly put down his chopsticks to try to eat more. The other judges were so busy that they didn't even have time to condemn Xiao. In less than a minute, all of Gubai's stir-fried livers were robbed. If Gubai had not stopped him in time, they might even have eaten the raw cabbage for decoration. Why don't you try this boiled cabbage again, Gubai said, pointing to the cabbage next to him. Boiled cabbage is much more delicious than raw cabbage. The reason why Gubai suggested that the judges eat gizzards and livers first, and then boiled cabbage, is because stir-fried jaggery has a strong taste and has a lot of momentum, and it can grab the judge's appetite and attention at once. While eating spicy food after the dishes, the freshness and elegance of the boiled cabbage will be stimulated to the extreme, which will relieve the greasy feeling of the heavy-tasting dishes and give people the most comfortable enjoyment. Chapter 32 I'll let you down. Sure enough, when the judges ate the boiled cabbage, they didn't even care about their image, and the chopsticks were about to drop out the after image. Unfortunately, there were only a few pieces of cabbage, and they were all eaten in a while, and even the broth was drunk. 1 Gan and 2 Cleanliness, the meaning is still unfinished. Josego, it's really delicious. This is the best cabbage I've ever eaten. It's light and delicious, and the soup has a strong umami flavor. It's not bad. Xiao, you can make such delicious food with the simplest ingredients, that's the meaning of the chef, and this stir-fried gi has opened a new door for everyone, and found a new kind of food. Edible food. Judge 3, in the past, when dealing with gi viscera were directly thrown away. Now think about it, how many delicious things we have missed. The fourth judge gave a direct score, it's delicious, very good. The judges didn't even say a word, and directly showed their scores. In the end, Gubai scored a high score of 45.6 in this game and became the well-deserved first place in the second game. Some of the people watching in the live broadcast room were directly attracted by Gubai, and the original fans kept cheering. Just ask those who were clamoring just now whether to slap in the face. The judges personally tested it to be delicious. The relative who said he would live upside down and eat shit is still here, and the judges have said that junk food can be eaten. When will your promise be fulfilled? No matter how busy you are, I will take the time to watch your live broadcast. Ha ha ha, shit eater is too scared to come out. After all, junk can be eaten, but shit is really not edible. Xiaobai is really powerful, and she is too proud of her mother. Her mother wants to eat junk food tomorrow. Xiaobai will arrange it quickly. Yes, I will be able to eat miscellaneous food when I go to the store tomorrow. Let's not talk about it, I'm going to line up. The people upstairs are too cunning, I have to queue up too. Who said I was pretending to be dead? I just don't believe that such a dirty thing can be eaten. Maybe the judges are cooperating with him in acting. As long as I haven't tasted it myself, I don't believe it. Ouch, Dung Eater is here. If you want to taste it for yourself, just say it. Come to the Blue Star Food Store early tomorrow, we will definitely not rob you, we promise you to taste the delicious food in person. Dare to come? What is there to dare? Just come. Hey, there is a good show to watch tomorrow, maybe you can see someone standing upside down eating shit on the spot. You don't need to watch the live broadcast. The Guide of How to Be an Interstellar Tycoon. Author, Yaoi. Chapter 30. Countless netizens are looking forward to the arrival of the next day, probably because something so interesting has not happened in the second world for a long time. Gubai, who was thought by fans to open the store the next day, is currently in the store's kitchen making the stir-fry jaggery and boiled cabbage that they expect. Moo. Moo taste it. How does it taste? Gubai smiled and put the two dishes in front of Moo, that is, Lord Junmolan. The smile on his face was very bright, and there was no reluctance at all. Although Gubai would also open a small stove for Junmolan before, but when he had time, he did not open a small stove every day, but from today, he will cook 3 meals a day for each other. After all, 3 meals can earn 10,000 stars, which is really worth it, more than his one-day turnover. This business is not a loss, not a loss. Looking at the smiling Gubai, Junmoran lowered his head to drink the soup. The corner of his mouth couldn't help but rise slightly. Really a cute little money fan. It's delicious, Junmoran praised without hesitation. This time, the frequency of his sobriety was faster than before, and the time he could stay sober was longer than before. The only variable was Gubai's cooking. Therefore, after Junmolan woke up this time, he immediately found Gubai and signed a formal long-term agreement with the other party. He knew that Gubai likes to make money, but making money is also very principled and proper, so he didn't dare to set a too high price, for fear that the other party would not accept it. Fortunately, the remuneration to Gubai when he was not sober was also higher than normal. There are more customers, so the compensation given by these long-term agreements is not outrageously high. Sure enough, the little guy was very happy. It's delicious, and I'll cook it for you tomorrow. Gubai still smiled, but he thought in his heart that those customers would definitely let him cook these dishes tomorrow, and then he would cook more and give Mumweun a portion. Then Chinese food is done, just think about the menu for breakfast and dinner. He's a real money maker. Okay, Junmolan can't see the other party's careful thoughts, but as long as the other party cooks, no matter what it is, it has the same effect on him, and he likes it very much. Gubai suddenly stared straight at Lord Grimm, his eyes narrowed slightly. I always feel that you are a little different from usual today. Junmoran didn't panic, and calmly wiped the corner of his mouth. What's the difference? Although you don't talk much now, you usually don't talk much. When I first met, I thought you were dumb. Gubai thought that when he first met Lord Grimm, it was funny. He really didn't expect that there are people in this world who cherish words like gold, so silent that people will mistake them for dumb. It's not that I don't like to talk, it's mainly aimed at people. Junmoran glanced at Gubai vaguely. Gubai, so you don't bother to talk about it if you are not familiar with it. Can you talk a lot when you are familiar with it? This is understandable. In fact, many people are like this, who has nothing to talk to a stranger. It's not all, you'll understand later. Junmoran packed up the dinner plate and said goodbye to Gubai. He had a hunch that his time of sobriety was about to end. After sending Lord Junmolan away, Gubai also went offline immediately, and then confronted the mutant vine Moo magnified in his sight. How did you get here, Grandpa Gu? Gubai wrapped Moo around his wrist and asked with a smile. Moo stretched out a leaf and pointed out. Gubai knew that Grandpa Gu must have been watching those sprouts in the field again. Since the second batch of sprouts emerged, Grandpa Gu has to run to see them several times a day, and even wanted to sleep directly in the field to prevent these sprouts. Problem again. Gubai promised Grandpa Gu several times that there would be no problem this time, but it was still useless. When I brought Moo to the farm, I saw Steward Gu, who was standing motionless on the edge of the land. Grandpa Gu, Gubai shouted. Butler Gu finally reacted, and turned to look at Gubai. His wrinkled face was full of smiles, like a blooming flower. Little young master, come and see how well these sprouts are growing, they are palm high. Grandpa Gu looked at the sprouts with the same expression as when he saw Gubai, full of relief and kindness. Gubai is helpless. This is the first mu of land to be planted. When the entire farm is full, isn't Grandpa Gu going to be so happy that he will fly and be so worried that he can't sleep? Moo has been helping him to look at these crops these days, so they can grow so fast. With their current ability, it is estimated that these crops will grow into more than a month. By then, he will have corn and rice. Rice, pasta, and vegetables can be eaten. When I think about it, I feel that my saliva is going to overflow. I wish time would pass faster and mature earlier, so that I could end my life with nutrient solution earlier. It is also fortunate that he had survived in the apocalypse before, otherwise he would have directly crossed into this world, and he was afraid that he might not have died in an accident, and he might have died under the horror and shadow of drinking nutrient solution. Interstellar people are really just as pitiful as the end-time people, or even more pitiful. At least in terms of food, although the end-time people are not full, they can still eat some natural food. Ordinary people in this interstellar may not be able to eat real natural food once in a lifetime. Food.